So we finished off with the pasta carbonara. Now it's time for the second dish, which is gonna be our souped up mac and cheese. Now I felt this was important because I know in my household, when my wife makes mac and cheese, it seems dry. Okay, it's sticky. It does not do well in my household. And I have twin boys that are turning 9 tomorrow. So so I had to teach her how to make souped up mac and cheese, and we're going to be using a lot of the same ingredients that we started off on the first dish. So again, these are items that you can put in your refrigerator that you can put in multiple products and use down the road, not just for these dishes. So the first thing that we're going to do is, again, we did the Great Value, which is the Walmart mac and cheese. We did the shells and cheese, and we boiled it with a little bit of salted water. And what we did was we reserved some of that liquid into our pan. Okay, so as it sits here, the reason why you want that is just it's going to help to create your sauce as you add some of the other cheese products that we have. So I'm going to go ahead and add the pasta that we had sitting here into the pan. And we're going to start off by adding a little bit of butter. So about that much, all right? And we're going to go ahead and just get that in the pan and then just start getting it combined and letting the butter melt, and then get in with your noodles. Now when we cooked our pasta to a term that we call al dente. And what al dente means is that you want it to have a little bit of bite back, meaning that when you chew it, it's a little bit firm, okay? If you put it in your mouth and you can just kind of press your tongue up against it and it falls apart, it means you cooked your pasta a little bit too long. So you want it to have a little bit of bite, because as it sits here in your sauce and it warms up in your cheese sauce, it's going to continue to cook, okay? So, and then I know in my household, when we do leftovers, again, it cooks again. So you want your pasta to make sure that it stays firm. So once we have our butter in here and it's all melted and you have it all mixed in with your pasta, we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of that cream. Now, with mac and cheese, you definitely want it to be a little bit thinner than with our pasta carbonara, and that's why we left a little bit of that cooking liquid from the pasta. It also helps to save on dishes as well. So a lot of times, I don't pour it into a strainer. When I'm cooking at home, I literally just take a spoon and dump out the hot water, and whatever's left in the bottom is left in the bottom. It just helps to add to your sauce and get it all nice and creamy. So, now from there, usually in my household, with this mac and cheese, they actually gave us the creamier style sauce on here. I typically use just the basic noodle sauce, but again, we're trying to get a little bit fancy on there. But if you're using a powder sauce, some of the things that I like to do is use this Deli Deluxe American cheese to add a little bit more creaminess into my dish, okay? Now, the reason why I buy this is because when I'm done using it, if I was to buy just Velveeta and cube it up and put it in here, the Velveeta usually just sits in my refrigerator and I don't know what to do with it after. I can add it to chili, but it doesn't really taste good on burgers. This is great on sandwiches, and I can use it for just a bunch of different things, for my household. But what I'll do is I'll just take a couple pieces and separate them and get them down in the sauce. So today we're just going to use 3 slices, okay? And from there, as the pan's getting hot, you just want to mix it in. And you'll start to see, that it's just going to start to melt away and blend in with your shell pasta. So once your American cheese is in there and it's all melted away, you're going to see that it starts to kind of take on the color of this. Now they also sell a white American cheese, so if you wanted to keep that neutral color in there, you're more than welcome. And then we're going to go ahead and add some of that Parmesan that we used on our earlier dish in here and get that mixed in here as well. And that's going to give it a nice salty, sharp flavor. We'll get that stirred in. And then once we get that stirred in, you'll see it'll really start to melt quick. We're gonna go ahead and add the sauce that came in. So if this was the powder form, this would be the time that you would add the powder. This packet, they did more of that Velveeta style cheese on here, so we're gonna go ahead and get that in there. And then we're just going to go ahead and get that stirred in here as well. And again, it should be thick, should be creamy, not all dried up. And it's gonna really start to take on to that orange flavor, which is your traditional looking mac and cheese. Okay? So once we get to that, once it starts to incorporate in there, and we're gonna go ahead and add some just plain cracked pepper, black pepper. And a little bit of salt. Now you don't want to add a lot of this just because you're going to get a salty flavor from your Parmesan. So just do a couple twirls on that, and then go ahead and just make sure that everything is all mixed in here, nice and gooey. Now at this stage, there's a couple things that we can do. We can either put this into a casserole dish and throw some more cheese on it and bake it, or put some panko breadcrumbs that have been tossed with a little bit of butter and bake it and get a little crust on there. Or if you're like me and just hungry, and my kids, they don't like to wait, we're just gonna go ahead and serve it on up. Get our plate here. And really this is gonna be so creamy, there's no good way to do this except a nice giant spoon. Once you get it all plated up, again, you can sprinkle it with some bacon bits that you have. If you wanted to fry up some of this pancetta and put it right on the top, you're more than welcome to do that. We're just gonna keep this simple and go ahead and add a little bit of this chopped Italian parsley on the top of it. And with that, in less than 20 minutes, you have two dishes. One to impress your friends, or another one just to eat in front of the TV. With that said, I'd like to thank you for joining us, and just to remind you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And join us again for another episode. And go ahead and leave a comment at the bottom to tell us which one you're going to decide to make first.